I became a better wife when I started praying and asking God how I can be your wife, not the ideas of what I had. I will always describe you like this. You are my home. I really never had a home. And you were it.
I never went through the, she can be my girlfriend. And then we went through the girlfriend-boyfriend stage. And then, I decide if we're going to continue and go into marriage. It wasn't that. It wasn't like that. It was from the minute I met you. It's like, okay, well, this is it. I'm done. And so the image that we've portrayed in our marriage is it's a true image. We're happy with each other. We love each other. We've got a beautiful family. But there's all the back end work, right?
If we at all got into a disagreement, a fight, anything, you said that it is us against the problem. I feel like right off the bat, you set us up for success.
Thanks for tuning in to our newest podcast that Desi and I are putting together, the Path of Purpose. As you guys know, we've been together for a long time, right?
Yes.
18 years. We met when we were in high school. And the reason we were feeling called to do this podcast is, through those 18 years, we've had a lot of friends, acquaintances, even clients, ask us after getting to know us for some time, how did you do it? How are you guys still together? And it's like, we were kids. We were literally kids that weathered any storm, I think, imaginable. I mean, to a certain point, right? And so Desi and I both feel called. I mean, it's been a long time to, let's just talk about it. This is going to be raw. It's going to be real. It's going to be emotional. Full disclosure, we're not therapists. We're not marriage counselors. We're just two screwed up individuals that found each other and, having a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah.
And, I feel like when you find your soulmate, then it's pretty easy. Marriage isn't easy, right?
No, but it sure is a gift.
It does. Yeah.
It is a gift. And I would say that being able to be with you, 15 years old is when I fell in love with you, actually, like way prior to that. Rolling my Barbie backpack on my way home from school was like, that's my dream guy. I felt like you were so far out of reach for me.
How dumb were you?
Very.
Yeah. You're so much better than me.
No. I just really, my upbringing, I just kind of, I didn't ever think that I would be able to be, you were just like a dream, like I didn't think that I would be able to be with someone like you. And as a little girl, I would compare you to, like, even though I didn't know you, compare you to every boyfriend that I had. And when you even gave me the time of day, I didn't even know how to act. I was so excited that
Isn't puppy love fun?
Yeah, I don't feel like we really got to experience a lot of puppy
when
love.
we started dating. I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. I was cheated on. And I ended up being a woman hater. Mm-hmm. And so when I met her, I could tell something was a little bit different. And it was grand design. This was not something, we weren't looking for each other. I know you had a crush on me, but it was absolutely meant to be. And we started dating, shortly after. But that puppy love, right? That young couples, even couples in their 30s, right? They start dating and they just love this person and can't get enough of them. And wow, does that wear off? Reality hits, right? And, we faced some challenges. Desi moved in with me at a very young age. God bless my parents for letting that happen. But it affected my family life and it affected her family life. and we had to grow up real young. And so, you know, you get in that relationship where, you know, you've got your puppy love and you don't have a lot of outside influence. Take advantage of it, right? How much fun would we be able to have if we were kids and we were able to
I mean,
go through that puppy love?
there's times where I feel like I grieve because I didn't get to just enjoy you, and enjoy our love. It felt like immediately that were in battle.
Yeah.
And I think what what happened for me was it was the first time in my life that I had experienced not being liked. Um not being accepted, and it was very difficult because it was so new. I didn't know how to navigate it. Um I was already in survival coming to I moved in with Adam and his parents at 15. And we had only been dating for what was the summer, so probably what, 2 months? Yeah, two
I don't even think
months.
it's quite 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so moving in with him was the very first time I had to be vulnerable with what I was going through in life. I had kept this image up, and I was never honest with anyone about what I was going through in my life because I didn't want to be separated from my siblings. And very difficult. Adam talked to his parents, and it was a very, very big adjustment. Because your family had just left the church, right? Is what happened.
I don't know if they just left the church. I thought they left the church like a year after we were dating, but I could be
Oh,
wrong.
that's right,
Yeah.
because I went,
Yeah.
okay, but they were in a transition,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
so very worried about how the other family members would look at you're allowing Desiree, Adam's girlfriend, to just
Well,
move in.
imagine us. What if Bowen brought a girl home at 15? Would that be hard? It'd be hard for me.
Well, truly, honestly, and probably not me. I would embrace it, the way that I grew up. I'd want to provide the safest environment. But it was a struggle because there was a lot of judgment. And then his family was really going through their own growth, their own setting up their own boundaries within, because his entire family actually lived on the same street, and they were finding their own ways, all of them. So there was a lot of intense emotions, and then here comes me, and um, it caused some hard feelings, especially for your brothers. Um, and his brothers actually really never knew my life. And his little brother was my best friend, my best guy friend growing up. And so he might have known a little bit, but not to the depth of really what I was going through. And I will forever be grateful for what your parents did and for what you did for me. Because growing up, I just always imagined that I would be rescued out of the situation and loved. I just wanted to be loved. And um, specifically by like I don't know how to put it, like a male, like I wanted to share my love, and I wanted to really be loved. And yes, I had an amazing relationship with God at such a young age, but to have a person, a real life person in front of me where I could just love because I had so much to give. And I was so excited that you chose me.
Yeah, well, let's back up. So, why were you attracted to me? And I'll tell you why I was attracted to you, because we talk about this all the time. But why me?
There's so I'm gonna cry. um, the security that you bring, even at a young age, like it was the confidence that you had. I just would look at you, and I mean, it didn't matter wherever you were just this funny, loving, outgoing, um, beautiful person. And I wanted to be a part of you. But I think it was really what I loved the most was how safe I just felt in your presence, and how I will always describe you like this. You were my home.
There was a connection, wasn't there?
And
Yeah.
I never, and maybe, gosh, um, I really never had a home. And you were it.
Isn't that crazy though? Out of all the boys, I'm gonna say boys because we're boys, right? In high school, out of all the boys, your sole attraction, right, was to me. Isn't that crazy how it worked?
Yeah.
It's like I can tell about you, right? I mean, the biggest thing that attracted me to Desiree, I knew she liked me because my little brother told me, and I just was not looking for a girlfriend. She's pretty, she's gorgeous, but um, when I met you, and I mean met you, sit down, had a deep conversation. We're driving back from the track. It was one of my races, and I missed my exit by like 10 miles. We almost ended up in Casa Grande because we were talking. You were so different. Uh, kids, right? There was a maturity to you, and there was a depth to you that I've never ever experienced. I mean, in a girl friend, or in high school, you're messing around, right? And it's like, even me, I was a kid. I mean, I did some really stupid stuff that we can talk about later in the podcast. But it's like, this was a serious deal from like the minute I met you. Mm-hmm. And you were so free. It's like the childhood you came from, the life that you came from, does not reflect your personality. You should be broken. You should be suppressed. You should be withdrawn. You should be um, alone.
Well, I am kind of a loner, but it's okay.
Yeah, but
I prefer that.
you weren't. Your heart was so free and open, and
I know, and I heard that
judgment
so much
free, and
when your parents.
Well, you need to understand that you're a unique soul. And so, you weren't, when I met you, you weren't girlfriend material, right? You were, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person material. I never went through the, yeah, she can be my girlfriend. And then we went through the girlfriend boyfriend stage. And then, I decide, because, guys are stupid, if we're going to continue and go into marriage. It wasn't that. It wasn't like that. It was from the minute I met you, it's like, okay, well, this is it. I'm done, right? Yeah. And we had, all of our conversations, everything that we had was deep, way deeper than, our age level, right? It's like the stuff we talked about, the things we went through. It's like we were 35, and it was so different, right? So different from any other person that we've talked to, and I I'll chime it up to grand design, right? I mean, it's like, this was put together by God. I mean, you can't argue that it wasn't, because we've gone through World War III, World War IV, and World War V.
All in the same year. No.
And we'll just say 10 years, right? 7
Yeah.
to 8, 10 years that I feel like I don't think a couple could weather it through. I mean, it's like, I can still say, I don't know how we did it in certain, but the biggest thing is, you brought up to me, you're saying the security, right? And it's like, I never blamed you, right? It's like, you were not perfect. I'm not perfect. Shocker. But it was you and I. Even you were mad at me when I was mad at you. I mean, it was you and I. And we didn't have any other choice but to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but very early on, and this is why with me, I was really emotionally not intelligent. And that this is something where you are far more superior. And I've learned so much from you. Early on, you would, if we at all got into a disagreement, a fight, anything, you said that it is us against the problem, not against each other. And so we would address, I feel like right off the bat, you set us up for success for that. It took me a lot to learn that you were not the problem, or I wasn't the problem, that there is a problem that we're faced with. And it could be, me wanting to be the savior of everyone's life, and and you being that listening ear and guidance with me, and that support. But here's the problem. This is what we're dealing with, and I love you too much for this to hinder you or our marriage any longer, And so I think that I really try to look back, because people always ask us, like, what is your secret? And I also feel that there's a lot of pressure too, because I have been told on multiple occasions that if you and Adam ever split up, I would lose hope in love. And I'm like, whoa, that's a big thing to carry.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know for me, I know it's been a little bit more difficult for you in your relationship with God, but I put all of my trust and my hope not in you, and I put it in God. And so that could be that, and that I have never tried to change you, and you've never tried to change me.
Well, and that's important. I mean, I'm happy you bring that up, because it's like, how many couples, even clients, right? I do a lot of divorce sale transactions through my real estate business, and
Yeah.
how many couples jump into a marriage and then try to change or convert this person into who they want them to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why did you marry that person if they're not who you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I feel like, I mean, that was huge for me, because I had no expectations, right? I mean, you're walking in, I see who you are. I mean, the positive things about you, your innocence, your light, your happiness. I mean, your ball of joy severely trumped any negative deal from you. And it's like, through our marriage, there's issues, and that's normal. And if there's no issues, it scare the hell out of me. Can you imagine going through a marriage with no issues? Like, like, what is going on right now? But it's through those issues that we get to, through trial and error. And it's like, this is both of us. It's not just one of us. And so it's like,
I've got to love you through every version.
yeah, but you're not here to change me.
I won't.
And I'm not
change
here
you.
to change you.
Mm-mm.
It's like, I just spent 20 days out in the hills chasing deer by myself and with your brother. I mean, just going out and doing what I love, and it's never a problem. We'll touch on communication in another episode, but um, these are things I love to do, and you accept it. It's like, even my flaws. You've accepted my flaws since I was young, and I'm not saying that we went through our relationship that, hey, this is just his negatives, and they're just going to be his negative um, parts of who he is for the rest of our life. That's not what I'm saying by it. But, no one's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And when you jump into that relationship, it's exactly that. It's a relationship. And most importantly, it's teamwork. And
Well,
so, life comes at you, and it comes at you together. And it's like, knowing who you are and knowing who I am, we can navigate through life through the ways that we know how, and the strengths that you trust in me and I trust in you.
well, you've definitely been that leader in that
Oh,
because
well,
oh,
we'll talk about
if
this.
it was up to me, oh man, yeah. Um, no, I would say, sweetheart, when for me,
Guys, she calls me sweetheart. That's what she calls me.
oh
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Just want to bring that up.
Oh, okay. um, it the flaws about a person is the opportunity for me to know why you have those flaws. Where did they come from? Um, are your I think the flaws are part of people's purpose. Like I'm not very good at talking. I can't explain things. Um, and here God has me wanting to talk. That is a big flaw I have. I'm scared to talk, scared to be vulnerable. And here we are. I love, I don't ever want to change you. I want to learn who you are. And that's my secret, I guess. I want to know, why is hunting so important
No,
to you?
you're invested.
I am so invested. I
And
care more about your life than my
yeah,
own.
I know. And I was just going to say that. It's like, it's like you were put on this planet to just serve my needs. And it's
Ooh,
like,
that word's gonna.
I hate that word, right? I hate that, but it's like, that is your personality, right? And it's like, I have to push you to go do things. Like, go get your nails done, right? Go do something for
I
you.
know my nails. Look at my nails. I
Yeah.
actually have to go get them done,
Go get
but
them
I will.
done. But again, not everyone's like that, right? And so it's like, some people like their personal life, like me. I love my individual life, which you have respected. And there's certain marriages that we've encountered that, it's two individuals that really like their them time. They're
Yeah,
not together time.
yeah,
And that's okay.
yeah.
That's extremely healthy.
Well, that's been hard for me because if I could just be attached to your hip all day, I would. So I don't need any alone time from you, but I have respected. And one of the things that how I've gotten to know you better is knowing your mama. I've asked her questions, and learning her has helped me learn who you are
I
too.
was a mama's boy, so
And
my mama knows me best.
she does. And um you and her are so similar and so alike. And then me and your dad are so alike. And so I observe things, and I can observe where she might shut down. And it is so important to me that you do not shut down, and that I am a safe place for you to open up to, because I want to know what's in your heart. And I am learning and on this journey of how to pray. And I have 3 books right now. One for my husband, one for my son, and then one that these are just spiritual prayers, like really hardcore stuff. And in reading, I want to learn how to pray where God reveals any sort of burden that you have, that I'm aware of any of those burdens that you carry, but I can be that rock and that support for you. And I know, like you had mentioned the word serving, and that is such a controversial word.
I used it to be controversial because
But
that's the extreme. But yeah, I understand completely.
my life has changed so much since I laid my own life down and I have served you. But it is more so that I am serving God, and God is showing me how He made me for you. There's no doubt about that. He completely designed me to be your wife. And all I want to do is be able to be that person for you, that when you're out there working and doing everything, that you come home and I am your resting place. And you've been the same way with me.
Okay, so let me ask you this. After 18 years, is that how long we've been together?
Uh-huh.
After 18 years, how do you still carry that philosophy through the marriage? How do you not get burnt out or tired, or how'd you not give up?
Well, I've on our marriage.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, I've wanted to give up. If I'm being real,
I know.
I've
Yeah.
been there where I have absolutely wanted to just to give up. But it is that I always go back to what you would always say. It is us against the problem.
So because of something I said, because of that term that has just stuck in you.
That, but my love for you, and you've helped me be a better person. And I've been able to, in every season, when we've gone through a lot of seasons, every new version of each other, it's like if you weren't growing, if you weren't actively pursuing to grow, I could see that being a challenge. But you're actively pursuing to grow. And so with me, I am constantly learning this new version of you. And you're doing the same.
Well, for me, right, it was commitment.
Well, it took you a long time to commit.
No, to marriage, right? But
Oh,
there's a whole
yeah.
God,
I mean,
bring
you were
that up.
committed.
But the time and investment, right? It's like your it sounds silly, but like your ROI, return on investment,
Oh,
is,
I understand your question more.
you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so it's
Yes.
like through the trial and error, right? All the positive things about you. I'm invested and you're invested in me, right? It's like when we were young, we had the finger pointing going on. Who doesn't when you're a young couple? But the biggest thing about you is you self-reflect.
Yeah.
You self-reflect every decision in your life. Sometimes it's crippling.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's incredible. And I learned that from you. I learned to self-reflect, because, you'd have your arguments or your fights, and then we come back and talk about it, right? Sometimes we would have flare-ups. Sometimes we would be screaming. I mean, it just normal emotion. But every time there was self-reflection. And I don't feel like, that's a big problem. I mean, you and I see these in these friends and couples that we've just talked to, that Well, when I'm mad, right, he let me get there. And it's like, well, let's hold on a second. You may be right, or you may think you're right, but let's take a step back. Look at yourself. What did you do wrong? Well, I never thought of that. And it's like, well, you need to understand this is teamwork, right? And so through my marriage, right, first of all, there's no one that could come close to you. And so for me to give up would just be silly because of everything I mentioned prior. But it's like, it's not even about your personal traits. You're happy, you're giggly and all that fun stuff, that led us without giving up. It's the self-reflection and the self-improvement. And the communication. I mean, it's hard to talk about it. And pride sucks for a man. And it's like, I have eliminated all my pride. I mean, I think you can agree. When we got together, my pride for you, or my pride to be superior, I was never that man that had to be in control. I was in control without saying anything, but I never, ever had to communicate it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's like,
You were always the first one to apologize
every
to.
time. But I was always the first one to tell you why. It wasn't just, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'm sorry, this is why. How do you feel about that? Because I want to know that I'm making it right with you. That my thought process isn't just wrong. And I know that you're not just going to take the apology and just say, okay, we're okay. That's not how it works. And I feel like in the deep relationship we have.
One scene that's really healing, or has been healing for me, because my emotions, I felt like I didn't allow myself to feel when I was little, or have my feelings validated, because there wasn't room. And I made myself believe that. Not that they didn't matter. I made myself believe that they didn't matter. It would be too inconvenient for me to talk about my feelings at all with my parents. Would they love to hear my feelings? Yeah. But I made myself believe that it wasn't worth, because I didn't want to burden them or anything. And so I never shared my feelings. And if I did, it came out in anger.
But how did you figure out that you couldn't share your feelings? Was that through our relationship? Because we discussed it?
My reactions.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that my anger was just a symptom of me being hurt. And I didn't know how, did not have the proper tools. And immediately I would not even give space for me to think about how and process how that hurt happened, how it came about, why I responded. Was it my fault? Was it the other person's fault? Was it anyone's fault? I immediately reacted. So in anger, I mean, not just little reactions. I mean, major rage, anger reactions. And it wasn't until you would consistently ask questions, and then it would give me that space and in that room to be like, okay, that actually, the anger is a symptom of it. I am hurt because I have my issues I have felt so unloved, and from a child. And I felt like I have so much to offer. I'm this valuable person. I know my worth, but no one would love me. And Jesus did, and God did, like that. That was there. And I'm still trying to unpack why that wasn't enough. I always wanted a real life person. And so I think you really gave me just the opportunity to understand the root of my anger.
So, and if I'm hearing you correctly, because this is how I feel, is self-improvement.
Yes.
Being together with you makes me a better person.
Yes.
And
Feel the same way.
vice versa.
Yes.
I feel like that's a big key in our relationship. You know, we get the text messages and the messengers.
I'm like, hey, do you have 14 years for me to explain? No.
Well, I mean, it's hard. This is a tricky topic. And, you know, I don't care about being vulnerable. That's not one thing I care about. I know it bothers you a little bit, but, you know, in order to build something together, you have to be vulnerable. I was talking to you last night about, you know, trust.
Mm-hmm.
Trust is a big part of a relationship, and it is, but it's to a completely different level than others talk about, right? So it's like, hey, do I trust you? You're not going to cheat on me? Of course I do. Do I trust that you're not going to talk bad about me? Well, of course I do. But what does it do for you as a person? I need to trust that I'm safe with you to open up.
Mm-hmm.
I need to trust that you care enough for me that if I come to you and say, you did this wrong and it hurt me, you're not offended.
Like, I don't take it personal.
You don't take it personal.
Yeah.
I trust that you're going to take my feelings and we're going to sit down and figure it out. Because when people throw trust around in a relationship, everyone thinks of surface, right? Trust that you'll be faithful. Trust they're not going to do this, or trust they're not going to do
Which
that.
all that is very important.
It is. It's very important. But what a lot of couples don't think about, in my opinion, is the trust between you and I in our I want to say like self-improvement, but our security with each other. I need to trust that I'm secure, that I can be secure, like
And safe.
and safe.
Yes.
And so, you know, I can trust you that you're not going to cheat on me. I can trust you that you're not going to talk bad about me. But if I can't open up to you because I don't trust that you're not going to get offended and make the conversation about you, how are we going to get anywhere?
Yeah.
Because that's self-improvement. And so that's one thing that we established really really early on was, wow, I'm safe. Like I've never been safe with anyone, right? You know my childhood.
And there's been times where you have said, I don't feel safe with you right now. You know, like I'm not going to open up, and you would shut down, and it would crush my heart. And I would tell you like, okay, I'm not safe right now. I want to be safe. And that was actually one of the big things that I prayed for, was to be able to become that safe place for you. And it is very important that, like, safety to you, I think, looks like there is not chaos, listening, not with the intention of responding back, just listening, validating your feelings. And if I did something that hurt you, that one, I apologize for it and acknowledge it. And my actions show, like, you can see that am I reading a self-help book? Am I in prayer? What am I doing to show that my apology is not just saying I'm sorry? It is following up with action.
No, and it's communication. I mean, it's like, you know, through our relationship, when we have an issue, we don't just talk it once and then it's gone, right? Well, I'm going to do better. Continue to talk about it. You know, if I was to bring something to your attention, I'm going to make something stupid up. Let's say I said, hey, I don't like the way you talk to me in front of so-and-so. I felt like you were disrespectful. And you step back and say, okay, you know, I can see, you know, or I'm going to try to see what you're talking about. A week later, we could have another conversation. Hey, babe, you remember when you came and talked to me about, you know, the way I talked to you about, do you feel like, you know, I've been better? Have you seen any sort of improvement? Have I done it again? The after communication is really what seals the deal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I can sit here and talk to you about it, and then you say, I trust you, right? So you say, I'm not going to do that again, and I trust that you're not now at this point. But when we were building our relationship,
I
the
never
communication,
even wanted to say I was sorry because I knew I was going to do it again.
yeah, that's pretty deep. but it's flawed.
I remember I would be like, I can't say I'm sorry because I know I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
And that is a sucky position to be in, because when I say I'm sorry, like, I really take that seriously. And
Yeah, but you know, back in the day, you thought that apologizing meant you're not going to do it again. And through our, you know, relationship, you've realized that it's, you know, acknowledging that it hurt you. I'm not telling you not to do it again, right? When we're apologizing. But we didn't really apologize. I mean, and through our relationship, I mean, I come up and I would say, hey, I see where you're coming from. It wouldn't be coming up to say I'm sorry. It'd be coming up to discuss, hey, I thought about what you said, and I see how I could have done something different. It was deeper than just an I'm sorry.
well, you were much better at that than me.
Well, yes and no. But
yeah.
you know. And that was way down the relationship, guys. I mean,
I wanted to square up with Adam in the street all the time.
We were punk kids. You know, we did all kinds of stupid stuff.
Yes.
And you know, we hear people tell us all the time, right? It's so rare to have high school sweethearts, which is kind of heartbreaking. It's like, how many people do you know that've been together for 20 years and then they divorce? And I'm not getting in their business, and I don't know why, right? And we know that there is, in our relationship, there's some hell no's, right? I mean, it's like,
Yes.
cheating. You cheated on me, it's done. Yeah. It's like, that's a complete break of trust, and that's a soul connection severance. And so,
and my thing, which is crazy, and people would probably be like, oh my gosh, would be drugs.
Yeah, drugs.
If you were an addict, I could still love you, but it is gonna be, that's a deal breaker.
Well, what about, I'm not gonna use their name, but the couple that we helped sell their house, they were getting a divorce. I mean, this is kind of how we work, guys. When Desi was a real estate agent, which she still is, her license is held with a referral company, so she doesn't practice real estate. But when we would handle these transactions, I would handle wife, she would handle husband. And our philosophy was the perspective. A woman and a woman's always going to have the same perspective. And so sometimes there's not as much to learn. And through this, right, they're married again, because I know they got divorced. The divorce was finalized.
I'm having a hard time knowing which one.
Florence.
Yes.
Yeah, so now they're married again, right?
Yes.
They had kids, and
yes,
we kind of talked them through it. We had conversations with him and the wife about selling the home, and because they realized, right?
Yes.
They just lost sight, and
they got rid of everything too.
They did. I mean, they were calling it quits. They were gone, without even thinking about it. They just had a mind made up, when in reality their mind wasn't made up.
And they're together.
And they got remarried, if I recall. Yeah.
I don't remember for sure, but I know that
I'm
they're
pretty sure
together.
They got remarried.
And
but it's stupid things like that. I mean, it's like they were together like 17 years.
Yeah. And
I'm not telling you, right, that you shouldn't get divorced or you should stay together. That's not what I'm saying.
Especially if you're in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, I mean, there's hell no's in every relationship, right? But it's like in a lot of relationships that we've talked with, there was just something stupid. And
well, to us, it was like, hey, this could be fixed.
To them, they had it was like light bulb.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think it's a sense of them not feeling alone and knowing that real life couples deal with this stuff too. And to see that, yes, it feels like you're not going to make it through this, but we're living proof that you can make it through it.
Yeah.
And so that they're not alone. And not every person that we encounter has a relationship with God. And that is something that is super important to me, that we're able to communicate with people even if they don't have the same belief system as we do.
Yeah, so one thing I was thinking about last night was, lead by example or live by example. And because we've been really thinking about why people, admire or, like someone said, if we were to separate, they'd lose all hope and
I
love.
know.
Like I
It's
don't,
actually multiple people
yeah,
that
I
have
don't,
said that
I
to me.
didn't understand it. Okay. And I still don't quite understand it. But I was thinking about it. And the only thing that has some sort of truth to that was, you live by example, right? Through our marriage, we live through example. And so it's like, until now, we've never gone off and discussed all the negative aspects in our relationship. We never got deep in our relationship on social media, or what we are portraying is the benefits of our marriage, right? Or the positives of our marriage.
Yeah.
Not all of the work that had to be done. And so when people see the surface, right, they're just seeing it's like a real estate agent, top agent, right? We're seeing 35 closings a month and you're like, wow, they're the best, but you don't see all the hard work that they're putting in behind. And so people look up to these agents because they're doing so well. And so in our marriage, even though we weren't doing well, it kind of came off like we were, right? Because we were working at it. And so the image that we've portrayed in our marriage is it's a true image. We're happy with each other. We love each other. We've got a beautiful family. But there's all the back end work, right? That has not been exposed.
We
And
haven't
so,
shared it.
yeah. So I feel like that's kind of the purpose of this podcast, right? We had conversations before we were married.
Yeah.
Like splitting up's not an option. You know that, I know that. You can be as angry as you want. I'm going to be as angry as I want right now, but you and I both know that walking away is not an option. So what are we going to do?
Yeah, if divorce wasn't an option, like if that wasn't this thing.
How many people would get married?
Yeah. Yeah.
That says a lot. How many people would get married if
If
divorce
there
was
wasn't
not
a way
an option?
out.
Yep.
Yes.
We chose to be together. God put us together. We weathered every storm, right? And every storm we weathered, separation was even less of an option. You get 5-6 years in, it's like, what are we going to do? We're going to walk away from what? You know how much time and effort we just put in this, everything we just weathered together?
And I would say about year 5, 6 was the hardest.
It was the hardest. But we beat it. And I think the reason for that is we did not see divorce or separation as an option.
You did not see that.
You didn't either. You threatened it because of your emotional
Kindergarten habits.
What did I say? Immaturity, right? But it was just a personal problem that you had that we worked through.
Yes.
And so you didn't either. I mean, you could threaten whatever you want, but it didn't mean you're going to do it.
Well, it's like my parents got divorced. So I think I was 4, and then your parents were together and married, and it's like they have been a great example of sticking by each other's side and trying to figure it out, but in like healthy ways too. Like my family would be fighting in the street, but then your parents, there was no like fighting in front of. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like that played any part of me and you. I mean, I don't feel like your childhood or my childhood or my family or your family played any part into why we stuck together. It's like the dedication to, separation or divorce, that's not an option, was something we made.
Yes.
That was not anything that anyone told us.
No, but it was, for me, coming from parents that were divorced and they both remarried. It was, and then seeing how your parents, there was a healthy way to get through problems.
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
like your emotional intelligence. So
Yes.
you saw through my parents that there was a different way to handling
Instead of running away.
issues. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
I see what you're saying. I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
That would be, yeah, that was big for me.
Yeah. Well, I wish, and I'm saying this lightly because, I'm basing a sole opinion. Don't take offense to any of this. But I wish people would take their relationship seriously. I mean, why 40, 50, 60 years ago were people married 40, 60 years? A lot of people have opinions about, the position of a man and the position of a woman within a relationship and how modern day media says that's sexist, that's this, that's that. And I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about my grandparents. I mean, my grandma absolutely loved my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
He was a sarcastic pain in the ass, good guy, loved him to death, but he was unique. And my grandma loved that man.
I love your
And
grandma.
it's because they did exactly what we're doing. They didn't give up. Separation was not an option, but it was them. They didn't have everybody else. It was my grandpa and my grandma. And, all these couples that have help or loving in-laws and all that, that's amazing, right? I'm not saying that you need to just make this about, you and your spouse. But that's our story. That's all we had. And I like I just said earlier, if divorce was not an option, if you got married, you were married no matter what, how many people would actually get married?
So I think people get married to, is that little joy that lasts, for a month or so. They get married because they feel that the marriage would fix whatever problem they might be having. Just like, let's have a kid. A baby's going to bring excitement and it's going to fix things.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I don't either, but I see it very often that they think that marriage is a solution, that having a kid is a solution, and it's not. And this plays really into what we were talking about of love is not a feeling, but it is an action. I feel that I love you. I'm in love with you. I love you. You love me. But it is an action, in my personal opinion. It is an action. It is consistency. It is showing up. Um, it is loving you when you're not so lovable at the moment.
Yeah, I understand.
Like, I mean, the way sometimes, like, have done a lot of reflecting on when I would fight with you, and the way that you would look at me, you're trying to analyze the situation. You're trying to de-escalate it instead of pouring more gasoline on the fire. And I would constantly watch how your eyes, like, I can reflect back and see how you did not want to hurt me more than what I was being hurt, or how I was hurting already.
Well, it started out as confusion.
Oh, you know what? And you did not care to be right. You do not care to be right.
Well, that's where it came. I said lack of pride. I didn't have pride in a
Yeah.
relationship.
Oh, okay. We
Yeah,
talked
I
about
care
this
if I'm right
already.
or wrong.
Okay.
But it, initially started as lack of confusion, right? I was confused by your reactions because I'd never been around that before.
Who is this monster?
No, it wasn't a monster. It's just, it was new for me, right? And
Babe, it was a monster.
okay, well, other people would be like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. And it's like, why? Do you see something in her? Fix it. Help her. Right? If you're getting hurt, right, and you don't put yourself through that. But my thought process was, oh, okay, this is an issue she has. We're going to fix it. And I am going to be the one to show her that this is not how you handle conflict, right? And so it initially started as confusion when I was a kid, right? Keep in mind, we had to deal with things with each other before we were 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was, what are you doing? You know, I understood what pushed your buttons, and I understand how you got to where you are. And I understand you would point fingers at everybody, but you knew it was you. And so it's like, okay, how do we work through this? And that's the conversations we'd have after were able to communicate. Okay, how do we work through this? Let's figure this out. Right? The purpose is not to tell everybody what to do, because I don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. We know what to do for each other,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not this person and you're not that person. We're not professionals. We're just two doo-doo heads that, did the best they could. And we've overcome quite a bit. So
For me personally, like I want the podcast to be able to touch the hearts that it's supposed to be able to touch. And to be able where they know people that may not have a spiritual background, it's okay. Like I do, you are in the process of this, and we can talk more about that. But for me personally, I would love for people to go back to God. For me personally,
yeah, well, and that's part of this journey.
I became a better wife when I started praying and asking God how I can be your wife, not the ideas of what I had. He knows your heart. He knows your needs. He knows your wants. And that's when I became a better wife. And that is so important to me. Seriously, above everything, being a mom, everything, it is so important to me to be a wife. I love being a mama. But unfortunately, our kid is going to grow up one day. And
I'm just going to grow old.
yeah, you're not going to, you're just a big old kid.
Yeah.
Me too, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to go through that. I mean, this isn't just about marriage. This is about our life, our story. We're going to go through.
Yeah, some things that we do really want to talk about is going to be I have struggled deeply with depression, not having an identity, even though I've had this deep relationship with God. My identity, I did not have an identity in Christ. And the emotional immaturity that I have dealt with. Some things that you had brought up was distractions.
Distractions. We talked a lot about self-improvement because that's what we've gained in our relationship, but that was a big issue for me in the beginning. And,
yeah, because last night when we were talking, you were saying not addressing personal issues, so you didn't like to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because of your childhood and how you would shut down. You would be shut down from other people.
I mean, it wasn't about my childhood. It was how I interpreted it. So,
right, that's the thing too. Yeah. It's not that it always falls on our parents.
Yeah.
It is how we internalized it and the lies that we created ourselves and believed. Mm-hmm. Not that our parents would want to put that on us. Yeah. We did that. So it's owning that responsibility and those lies that we believed as kids. And
yeah, believe it or not, we carried a lot of baggage up until, still presently about stuff that happened 18 years ago. In our relationship.
For sure.
As kids. Mm-hmm. And
I couldn't heal.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you can walk away from all that and really live. Mm-hmm. So
I love you.
I love you too.
Even though I do sometimes want to square up with you, it's okay. Yeah. I still love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
Yeah. Wait, that was totally not how we expected that to go. So that's cool. God showed up. Yeah. Woo! You think that's good for our first episode?
I think it was fine.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and joining us on the path of purpose. It has been amazing, and we are so excited to see where this is going to go.
And guys, stick around. I mean, I know this isn't for everybody. Um, this was a long one, so we're gonna hopefully not have these as long. Just get right into it, talk about it. Um, but I mean, we definitely want to hear your story too. I mean, this is our podcast, and this is our life. Um, but we want your comments,
We
right?
don't want to make it about us. We want to be listening ears.
Well, we're not making this about us.
Yeah.
We're opening this up because it's been highly requested for God knows how long. We're going to talk about ourselves and how we relate, in this beautiful thing called life. But I would also like to see other perspectives. I mean, if there's something else you've been going through, you couple's been married 30 years, 35 years, please.
Yeah.
We're always learning. And, even topics to discuss about doesn't even have to be about marriage. You could be single, you could be whatever. Life, identity. I mean, my wife has struggled with identity issues, and it's like, I'd love to discuss them. And,
Just having the opportunity. And we're going to see where this goes. I have a feeling it's going to go somewhere far. But one thing I learned in life is I love to listen. And I do not want to just always be the one talking. I want the opportunity for people that may not have someone to listen, that we're there.
Yep.
And we can help in any way. If it's just listening, that's it. Because God moves mountains
that he does.
when we are intentional and when we do not listen to respond.
So guys, stay with us. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us
Thank
and
you.
listening to us blab about our life. We're gonna continue. I mean, we just kind of scratched the surface. This is our first episode, so we're gonna get into really important aspects of our life within our marriage and business and just self reflection. And stick with us. So thank you so much for joining us on the path to purpose.
Yes. Thank you, guys. We love you.